Hey, what's going on? So we're going to continue this. Again, I'm pushing for possible October 1st release for this, but let's take our time so we don't mess things up. So we started the intro yesterday. I'm going to finish the intro up today. Then I'll start with section 0, and we'll go on from there. But I got about at least 30 minutes of work today. Then I go to take care of some IRL things. So let me actually read this out loud. Okay, you step into a hallway you walked through many times before. Everything should seem familiar. The doors should be predictable. Every nook and cranny should spark a case of familiarity, and yet something feels wrong. Maybe it's the way the lights are flickering. Maybe it's just the shadow where none should exist. Your body reacts before your mind can process it. Your heart begins to race and your muscles begin to tense. Every nerve in your body begins to scream, "This is not right. This is not right." Gotta be a little bit careful there. Arthur Miller once wrote, "Betrayal is the only truth that sticks." Horror games understand this completely. They don't merely introduce monsters, they betray the very spaces you learn to trust. A police station, once a place of protection, becomes a labyrinth of danger. A mental institute, a place of healing for the mentally ill, hides a dark secret behind its walls. Even a pizzeria, the most mundane of environments, is shift familiar to hostile. This isn't just storytelling, it's manipulation of perception, memory, and anticipation. What was once safe becomes suspect. What was once familiar becomes alien. Every sound, every shape, and every echo becomes a potential threat. So with this one, we're gonna be a little bit more descriptive with the and like contrast for other narratives. Okay, let's get right to it. So we're gonna finish this one up. We'll at least finish the intro up, then we'll start on section 0. So let's see, what do I need to do here? What more can we put? Okay. It isn't just storytelling, it's a manipulation of perception, memory, and anticipation. What was once safe becomes suspect. What was once familiar becomes alien. Every sound, every shape, and every echo becomes a potential threat. Bumps of Resident Evil music today, actually. Yeah, we'll bump to Resident Evil music today. It's a little bit too loud. Sorry about that. Alright. Every sound, every shape, and every echo becomes a potential threat. Safety. It teaches us that safety is not always guaranteed. I just totally butchered that. No, we're good. The safe spaces. Safe spaces. The ones. God protect you. safe spaces, the ones you count on to protect you. Turn against you. All right, how the hell do I want to do this? No, we're not gonna do. All right, I was thinking about just using the sec. I was gonna do a sentence leading to the sections, but it won't work in this situation. I think aloud. Don't mind me. Hmm. Before that, something else happens. Fear. Fear begins in the brain. We are not gonna go that in depth because I always every one of my videos, it always ties into the brain somehow. Fear begins in the brain. Fear begins in the brain. And it's here. It's here. We confront our first betrayal of safety. Alright. So I'm gonna read this aloud and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna have to add anything else. Probably not. Let's make sure how this sounds. Okay. You step into a hallway you walked through many times before. Everything should seem familiar. The doors should be predictable. Every nook and cranny should spark a case of familiarity. And yet, something feels wrong. Maybe it's the way the lights are flickering. Maybe it's just a shadow where none should exist. Your body reacts before your mind can process it. Your heart begins to race and your muscles begin to tense. Every nerve in your body starts to scream, "This is not right." Arthur Miller once wrote, "Betrayal is the only truth that sticks." Horror games understand this completely. They don't merely introduce monsters, they betray the very spaces you learn to trust. A police station, once a place of protection, becomes a labyrinth of danger. A mental institute, a place of healing for the mentally ill, hides a dark secret behind its walls. Even a pizzeria, the most mundane of environments, can shift from familiar to hostile. This isn't just storytelling, it's manipulation. Excuse me, gross. I'm starting to sound like Wolverine right now. This happens a lot. So, every sound, every shape, and every echo becomes a potential threat. Horror games exploit this betrayal on multiple levels. They teach us that safety is not always guaranteed. The safe spaces, the ones you count on to protect you, can turn against you. But before that, something else happens. Fear begins in the brain. And it's here we will confront our first betrayal of safety. If I don't like it, I'm gonna change that later, but for now, we'll just have it there. That's not a good transition, but for now, we're just gonna keep it there. All right, so I don't go insane. I'm not gonna be talking about the brain that much because, of course, we have to mention the Amgala. So how do I want to go about this? So I did want to be more. I wanted to be a little bit more descriptive this time around. For my last horror one that I did, I kind of did dumb down the way I write. I usually go stupidly in depth, but people requested that I kind of dumb it down a little bit so it'll be a little bit easier to follow. It's hard. It's really, really hard because I've written that way for years. So things that I might find normal may not be normal. Okay. All right, let's try this. Fear doesn't wait. Fear doesn't wait. It starts in the nerves and instincts you can't control long before anything threatening appears. It starts small. It starts small. Okay, so if I was playing, what was a game that kind of screwed me up? That scared me when I was a kid. An actual, well, again, Resident Evil 2 was my first introduction to. It was my first introduction to proper like horror games, but possibly Fear. Again, don't mind me. I talk aloud when I'm thinking. What made Fear scary back then was the environment itself, besides all the shenanigans. Okay, so we'll start small. Maybe. Maybe it's a flicker in the corner of your eye. Fear doesn't wait. It starts in the nerves and the instincts you can't control long before anything threatening happens. It starts small. Maybe it's a flicker in the corner of your eye or a creak underfoot that you swear wasn't there before. Or your mind doesn't just notice it. Your mind doesn't just notice it questions. Predicts and panics. Fear doesn't wait. It starts on the nerves and instincts you can't control. Long before anything threatening happens. It starts small. Maybe it's a flicker in the corner of your eye, or a creak under your foot that you swear wasn't there before. Your mind doesn't just notice it. It questions, it predicts, and it panics. Yeah, we're being a little. Yeah, we're gonna be more descriptive. Definitely. Oh, give me a second. The song is actually about to end. Ah, Tsume. Good, good, good. Totally be surprised when I turn on the light in the black rooms, in that save room. I always call it the dark room save room. Like, oh hey, it's the save theme. Your mind doesn't just notice it; it questions, it predicts, it panics. What's that? Is that shadow? Was that sound part of the building? Or something else? Or something else. Okay. Your brain starts to fill in the gaps. It starts to fill in the gaps. The brain starts to start filling in the gaps. Your brain starts to fill in the gaps, and suddenly everything feels like a threat. And suddenly, every little detail seems like a threat. You know, oh, every little sound, every tiny movement, feels right. Okay, I'll give a little example of this while I rest my eyes real quick. So, obviously, since I'm writing a horror narrative, that means, hey, I might have a little experience in horror games. I love horror games. I've been playing them for like forever. Yeah, ever since I was a wee lad. So, giving an example of this, I've played OG Resident Evil 1 plenty of times. So when the Deadly Silence port came out for the DS, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna end up playing Resident Evil 1 again. Not that big of a deal. Let's go. That's not gonna be a big deal. Sorry, 1. Color me surprised when they added more things that were different from my initial playthrough of Resident Evil 1 years ago. Placement was different. Enemies that shouldn't be in certain areas were in certain areas. Case in point being, in the library, right before you can get the view of the roof where the heliport, right where you can get the view of the tyrant final boss fight on the heliport. They added this extra scene with Chimera. There's not supposed to be a Chimera in the mansion. Not that I'm aware of. I do not remember chimeras in a mansion, at least in the original one. So, but they were cute about it. They used one of the fixed camera angle points and had the chimera's silhouette just pass through the screen. So I'm just minding my own business, just playing this. I'm like, the fuck was that? I don't remember this. So now I'm like, wait. So what the devil just passed through my screen? So I admit I became a little bit tense, not panicky, but my brain started filling in the gaps. Like, wait, is this something new that they added? What could this be? The only thing that should be here at this point in the game is zombies or something of the macabre, but nothing too crazy like hunters and like and whatnot. Then lo and behold, I continue progressing. Then a chimera shows up. I'm like, why are you here? You're an endgame enemy. I'm not even close to endgame. I'm still in the beginning of the damn game. At least going towards the middle part of it. But that's a good example. You see I saw a shadow go right past my screen that I don't remember. And I'm like, oh crap, what is this? Then come to find out it's a late game enemy that they wanted to be cute about and just put there as a. I don't know why they did it. I guess just to freshen things up a little bit, but certainly got me. Your brain starts to fill in the gaps, and suddenly every little sound, every tiny movement feels like a threat. So, it's the way the brain's wired. I've had plenty of time to actually like read up on the brain over the years, so I know a thing or two. I'm always still learning though. That's why I do these verification streams. It's always good when someone fact checks me. So, your brain. I'm trying to avoid talking about the Amygdala at all costs. So your brain is wired. I can actually use the example I just gave. Like I was so used to playing Resident Evil 1, the moment they threw something like different, I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh, wait, this never happened before. A shadow never went past the shadow never went past the screen in the original game. What's going on? So when that pattern breaks, again, using myself as an example, that just completely caught me off guard. Like, I don't remember this happening. And lo and behold, to come to find out there was something that they added in there. Progression wise, it makes absolutely no sense, but hey, they were being cute. Well, that's my experience right there, but let's use something common. There's an example in Code Veronica, but it's not necessarily a good example to use. No, I can't use it, unfortunately. Give me a moment to actually think about this one. Because that's my example, but what else can we do? Trap. This is stretching it a little bit. Always stretching longer. Always stretching longer than they should. This is really, 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 like really pushing it. Fear doesn't wait. It starts in the nerves. It's instincts you can't control. Long before anything threatening happens. It starts small. Maybe it's a flicker in the corner of your eye, or just a creak under your foot that you swear wasn't there before. Your mind doesn't just notice it. It questions, it predicts, and it panics. Was that shadow real, or did you just imagine it? Was that sound part of the build setting, or something else? Your brain starts to fill in the gaps, and suddenly every little sound, every tiny movement feels like a threat. Your brain is wired to detect patterns and rely on memory. When that pattern breaks, when that pattern breaks, something appearing that wasn't in your memory. Uh, we'll fix that later. When that pattern breaks, something appearing that wasn't in your memory, hallways stretching longer than they should, and doors that don't open the way you remember. Hmm. Okay. All right, we can fix this. Even when you think you're safe. Even when you think you're safe. What the fuck? That was very weird. Even when you think you're safe, doubt creeps in. Doubt creeps in. What you knew, what you knew, starts becoming unreliable. So again, off topic, but my next video will be on instinct. Not instinct. Isolation. Isolation. Security breach. I'm using. I'm gonna be using FNAF again for security breach at least. The not the main game, but for DLC, the DLC portion of it. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think Ruin is good to use, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's focus more so on this for now. Even when you think you're even when you think you're safe, doubt creeps in. What you knew to become starts to become unreliable. What you hmm is suddenly reliable. So the mind, which normally which normally helps you navigate the world. The world starts working against you. Okay. Okay, let's read this again. Fear doesn't wait. It starts in the nerves and instincts you can't control. Long before anything threatening happens, it starts small. Maybe it's a flicker in the corner of your eye or a creak under your foot that you swear wasn't there before. Your mind doesn't just notice it, it questions, it predicts, and it panics. Was that shadow real, or did you just imagine it? Was that sound part of the building setting or something else? Your brain starts to fill in the gaps, and suddenly every little sound, every tiny movement feels like a threat. Your brain is wired to detect patterns and rely on memory. When that pattern breaks, something appearing. I'd have to do it. When that pattern breaks, such as something appearing that wasn't in your memory, hallways stretching longer than they should, and doors that don't open the way you remember, your instincts scream danger. Even when you think you're safe, doubt creeps in. What you knew is suddenly unreliable. The mind, which normally helps you navigate the world, starts working against you. Okay. So today we finished up the introduction and started a little bit more on the brain. Well, we started the brain section at least, but I'm gonna try to avoid talking about the Angala. I don't want to talk about it. I've talked about it enough. I'm pretty sure people are aware with that little piece in your brain is in charge of. It's your fear center. But I always fall back on it. So we're gonna try something a little bit different. So let's wrap things up. We got a good 30 minutes worth of work. So tomorrow I'll finish up this section, and then I'll move on to physical betrayal, if I remember correctly, going off the outline. So good stuff. I'll see people tomorrow. And as usual, if anybody has any requests for any horror-based lore stuff, let me know and I'll take care of it. All right, take care. I'll see people tomorrow.